What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another great edition of No Love Philly, the podcast dedicated to artists, activists, musicians, comedians, breweries, basically anybody in and around the city of brotherly love or touring through the city of brotherly love that makes this place as awesome as it is. Wow, man, this has been going on for a while, man. Work's been getting busy. It's crazy busy around here. But we still made time to head out to the Grape Room in Manayunk and interview Eliza and The Organix. We talk about their life in New York. Actually, going to rehearsal from Philly to New York. Eliza used to live in Philadelphia, and so she would actually go to New York on Fridays, man, and drive the 3 hours up there, and would actually stunningly drive 3 hours back. We talk about their double album, I guess you could call it. It is definitely not 2 EPs. We learned that. It is absolutely not 2 EPs, and we don't want to mess with that juju. So it's one album, 5 songs being released at one point, 5 songs being released at another. Yeah, man, we did that. It was cool. They were great to speak to. They're actually friends with Megan, yeah, man, it's just cool to meet so many people from New York coming through Philly to perform. I love that. It's one of my favorite parts of it. But for now, let's get into the show list. If this is going on, this would be our Halloween show. So that means that Guar just performed. I hope that was awesome. It hasn't happened yet. I'm recording it before the 27th, so or the 29th, so I have no idea. Maybe I went. And I have a really great story about it and how awesome it was. I really don't know, but I'm sure it was. You have Anti-Flag coming here. All right, dude, we're so close to the show, man. November 3rd, man. That's Friday. Fucking Friday, man. November 3rd, Anti-Flag is going to be here. And then you got Dying Fetus on November 25th. And that's what I have right now for you for the show list. I'm sure there's going to be more. I'm sure I'll figure it out after this episode. There's always shows. There's always something going on. But for now, I would love for you guys to enjoy our friends from Eliza and the Organix. Super mellow band, rock and roll, chill music. Love it, live it, be it, have it, understand it. And that's my cue to go, man. Enjoy. Talk to you guys later. And we are on. Awesome, man. So I'm here with at the Grape Room in Manayunk with Eliza and the Organix. Straight out of fucking New York, right? Is that where?
Yeah, that's correct.
Where are you guys?
Right.
Where? What part of New York are you all from?
So we're based in Gowanus in Brooklyn.
All right.
Yeah.
I have no idea where the fuck that is, man, but it sounds awesome.
It's by the canal.
Oh.
A lot of artwork.
It's named after a toxic canal.
So
yeah, that's right.
Is it named after a toxic canal?
It's a super fun site. Yeah.
There was
Really?
was it a dolphin that died in the Gowanus Canal?
Get the
It was
fuck
a big
outta here.
story a couple of years ago. It was really sad.
That sounds horrible.
It's like, how did this dolphin get in there? And then it just died.
Awesome. So
so-
you guys are from the place with the dead dolphin.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make sure we get that part off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very important.
So why don't we start off with names and instruments? Let's do that first.
Sure. Okay. So I'm Eliza Waldman, and songwriter, guitarist, lead vocalist for the band.
My name's John. I play drums.
I'm Kristen. I play saxophone and keys and do backup vocals.
And I'm Will. I just play bass.
Just play bass,
He just
right?
plays bass.
You know.
Just bass.
So were
nothing
you the one?
fancy.
I'm sorry. Was it you or was it somebody else that was doing the trumpet on one of those videos?
One of what videos?
I don't know. I was looking at your Facebook page and I saw somebody. Okay.
Oh, that's our friend Marley.
All
Yeah,
right.
she plays trumpet.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah, she played on the album,
All
on
right.
our new album. Yeah, you can hear. Yeah, she basically. Yeah, I play with the band, and she never played with us live, but she's on recordings and stuff for us.
How funny. So she's on
Yeah.
the actual recording, but never in the live show, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
No.
All right. How funny. I feel like that's.
She's not
the,
super into performing.
I was gonna say that feels like always the bridesmaid, never the bride. You know.
What's funny though is she's a great trumpet player, and she used to do marching band like all through college. She was in these very very competitive marching bands, and they would do all these like competitions and tournaments. But she was just not ever into getting on stage and playing in a live band. I think it was a little outside of her comfort zone. Yeah.
Wow.
She also designed the album artwork
You guys have a lot of artwork for this album, actually.
Yeah.
In terms of like what you guys did for like promoting it, I
Yeah.
would think. I think I saw one with a chicken on a road.
Yeah,
and,
that's the main. That's the main artwork that really captures, the emotional journey of this album. Dead rubber chicken on a road.
Has it been rough, or what's it? Tell me about that.
Well, the idea for the artwork came to me because we've been working on this album for like a year and a half, and a lot of the songs they're songs that I wrote about being in your 20s and having all these questions and wondering what you're doing with yourself and all the normal stuff that people in their 20s do. But, like I was finding myself just writing a lot of songs about sort of like road imagery and this and that. And then the idea came to me, oh, you know what? The artwork is going to be just like something to do with road. I'm like, roadkill? No, too dark. I know. A rubber chicken being run over by the tire of life. Like, but it bounces back. That's the beauty of a rubber chicken. You can never truly kill a rubber chicken.
Right. I was going to say, why did the chicken cross the road? To go on fucking tour.
I like that. Yeah. I'm going to store that away for later.
You can keep
It's a
that
good
one. Yeah, let's do it on stage and see what
how
happens.
that goes
See how
over.
it goes over. They'll be like, what? Oh, I get it. So, tell me about life in New York, man. Tell me about the scene there. I mean, being in Philly, we get a lot of bands that I'm obsessed with, and I constantly talk about on this podcast. What I call the New York Philadelphia corridor, which to me, in my mind, is basically bands from here that play there in this network, this absolute kind of like underground network of like, hey, dude, put us on this show, and you can play over here when you're in New York, and then hey, I got a homie in Virginia or in Maryland that you can drop in. But I've been to New York several times, but I haven't really caught the scene there. Like I haven't gone over there and like really checked it out. So what's it?
Well,
is it?
It's interesting because I actually I lived in Philly before I lived in New York.
Okay,
I
cool.
lived here for like 3 years. I lived in Manayunk, actually.
All right, cool.
Like very close to the Grape Room where we currently are.
Yeah, I lived on Manayunk Street when I first got here, so I didn't.
Yeah. And like I like the Philly scene a lot. I find the New York scene very different. And I think one thing for me is I found that there are a lot more women who are doing things that I want to do in New York. There's a lot of really inspiring stuff happening there. Like, I love the Philly scene, don't get me wrong, I do. I think it's really cool. But New York is like, it's a very inspiring place to live. There's so much happening, and I feel like it pushes me to my best game, like the city of New York. Sometimes in positive ways, and sometimes in kind of destructive ways. Yeah. But
Tell
it
me about the
pushes
destructive
you.
ways. I want to know about that.
Anybody want to weigh in on that?
Somebody throw me a
Destructive
great
behavior
destructive story. I want to hear
I was
it.
going to speak on the pro side. So.
On the pro side. Okay. I'm one of those people who will never probably feel fully at home in New York City. It's a little bit too much for me all the time. But there's also so much happening, and it's really cool. So, there's a positive. There's a positive side to it.
Right on. So you want to tell? Why don't you elaborate on that positive side?
I was going to say along the lines of what Eliza was saying, which is that the stereotype of this relentless
You'll have to hold
ambition-
that super close.
The stereotype of this relentless ambition in New York City is true, but I think it's a really positive thing. Like, there's just no matter what you do, you'll find people who are, just striving for this to go to a higher level. And I think for music, it's great, because everywhere you play, you kind of want to set the bar as high as you can.
So I think one of the things that I'm obsessed with, and I guess it probably matters a lot in New York too, with it being such an expensive place to live in, right, is how the fuck, are we going to figure out how to do our art and what we love and still survive, right? So what are you seeing artists in New York doing that they're able to survive on just their craft of art, whether it's being in a band or whatever? Go ahead. Go for it.
John says no.
John.
I would say, so I teach a lot of private lessons. That's one thing I do. Last year, I had a really cool gig doing guitar yoga, which is guitar.
That sounds like something in New York.
It
That
sounds like a
something
New York
New
thing,
Yorkers
doesn't
would
it?
do. Fucking guitar yoga.
It's basically you show up and you play soothing guitar music for yoga class.
Okay.
And I loved that gig. It was great. I just showed up and I played soothing music.
What stopped it? What stopped that gig?
It's just, from year to year, different places, different staff.
It was a pop-up, man.
Who knows? Maybe I'll be doing guitar yoga again this year. Who can really say? What I would say though on that issue though of surviving on your art is like New York City has taught me a lot about community and how people who are living the DIY lifestyle, like, I don't know, just create a very tightly knit community. Like I have housemates. One of my housemates is in a punk band. One of my housemates does like a lot of stand-up comedy, and everyone just, there's this circle, and then, I need a poster for this show, and then you pay one of your friends to do it, and people are like helping each other out in that way.
Right on.
That's pretty special. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
I'm glad you said housemates several times, because at first I heard housemaid and I was like, no, fuck this. There's no way.
No.
What were
there's
you
no
gonna
way.
say? You were gonna point out something about when we were talking about making a life out of your craft in New
well,
York.
I was just talking about, Eliza does music, so she teaches music, and then she plays music, so all she's doing is music, right? But the rest of us have totally different jobs, We, I used to work 9 to 5, and, now I'm in grad school and working and doing this. And I know John and Will both work, at least 40 hours a week. And so it's basically like trying to find a job in New York that can allow for free time, because the problem I have with New York is people are obsessed with working, obsessed with working for money. I think passion can go both ways. I like when people are obsessed with their craft, right? And that's the dream. But a lot of people are just obsessed with work, obsessed with making money. They brag about working late and all this stuff, and it's no, I'm leaving right at 5 o'clock because I have to go play music and have fun and live my life. And it's rare to find a job that allows for that, but it's there. And I haven't had a problem with the balance, but you do have to pick and choose, I think, to your priorities in life, which I think everyone does have to do.
Yeah, it has to happen. You guys do 40 hours a week. Are these adult jobs? These are
I have an adult job. I work for the city. I'm a bureaucrat.
Oh
So
shit,
sometimes I'll show up to gigs in a suit, but that for me is part of the.
dude, that's me too. I have a suit job as well.
For me, that's part of the that's part of the lifestyle.
So much strange. I build lasers for NYU. And
I was going to say IT.
Yeah.
I was looking at you. I was going to say IT. I wanted to say it, but
I just dress like that to fit in.
okay.
Yeah. Now, I do have nice shoes. Yeah. We were actually playing a concert 3 days ago, and the photographer took 70 pictures of my shoes. it was a little excessive, but it was great. It was good.
So, am I making it home?
yeah.
Right. So you have this. So you work with lasers? Is that what you said?
I do, yes. And for the record, if anybody asks, I'm at work right now.
You're doing research,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So I'm sorry. I rarely run into somebody who does something as rad as I work with lasers. Can you just elaborate on that a little bit? What specific role do you play in working with lasers?
So there are very.
You have to hold that close.
Sorry, there are very fast processes. So things in your eye that tell you when you've seen something, and they're so fast that only a special kind of laser can measure them. And we build that special type of laser. And there's 7 of them in the world. One of them happens to be at NYU, and that's the one I work on.
Of fucking course, man. Right? Or what? That's punk rock, dude. I gotta tell you,
I throw on some X in the morning, and I align the laser. That's sort of my 9 to 5.
That's rad, man. That's a cool collective field. You know what I mean? You got a bureaucrat, a scientist, a grad student, and a musician.
Yeah.
You know.
Every time I see Will, I'm like, how are the lasers today?
Yeah, dude.
That's the question.
Wait, so you're focused. Oh, great one, man. Wait. So I was going to. That brings me to my next question. How come you guys don't have a laser light show in your live show already?
We were just discussing this actually. I think it was because we just did a mini tour of Massachusetts, and we did Boston, Lowell, and Concord, and it was Lowell, I think. The Lowell show. This one other band that was playing had this fantastic light show, and we were like, why don't we have a light show? Why don't we have that? Disco ball, yeah. Or we could get some lasers. Just steal the lasers from your lab.
I mean, you got a guy that can make them. Only class 4. I mean,
extreme.
It needs to be a little
Extreme
bit more than
lasers.
just class 4.
We don't know
buddy.
at all what that means, but
I
it
know,
sounds
it's
extreme. Right. Only to the side of the laser.
So, you used to live in Philly?
I
Are
did.
you all New York? The rest of you New York natives? No. Okay. Great.
None.
All right. Somewhat.
Will is not.
All East Coastians. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So how often do you get to perform here in Philly?
It hasn't been super often. It's been a while since the last time. The last show we did here was, I think, back in March. And that was a great tour, but it was right when there was that blizzard. And that was not ideal.
Yeah. I was digging my car out of Manayunk on Manayunk Ave.
I remember I woke up that morning and I was like, oh, man, are we going to Philly today? And we did.
What?
We did. And it was, it was a
Where did you
decent
play?
show. That was another Grape Room show. So, like, I've always had a connection with the Grape Room. Like, I used to go to open mic night here. I, like, got students for my private studio from, like, the Grape Room. So, like, I love this place, and this is my neighborhood. So this is normally where we play in Philly. But, yeah, that morning I was like, I guess we're going to Philly now? Like,
how the hell did you guys make it through that? Like, driving. That's
we're just extreme.
2.5 hours?
We're extreme, yeah. I think the Funky
Where
Corolla
I was
went
gonna
on
say,
that trip.
where the hell did you find parking? Now that I think of that,
I'm a
like,
master
this place
parker.
Okay, all right.
I'm a master parker.
Wow.
Like,
Yes, she did. She was like, "What?"
like you've never seen a parker like me.
I love it. So you guys normally play the Grape Room.
Mhm.
That this is like your go-to spot. How are you
It
guys
tends to be.
connected at all to the house show network here?
I don't think we've ever. I mean, I have some like friends who do a lot of house shows and stuff here, like other bands that I know from when I used to teach music lessons here.
Yeah.
And some of those people have like moved to New York, which is funny because it just like happens. People start just moving to New York. But I do like I know a bunch of people who have been doing a lot of those house shows over the past, I don't know, 3 years that I've been like in the Philly area and then in New York.
So just a recommendation, another New York fellow, Maddie Klauser, pretty much that, here in the scene, all roads lead back to Maddie. Like somebody knows Maddie from somewhere. In fact, that's where I met our mutual connection, Megan, because she played at Tralfamadore, which is like his house show place, and it's a dope spot to like go. I know he has Madam West from New York. They also they've come through. So you should definitely check that out.
There was a lady who used to do actually the open mic night here. It was like TJ McGlinchey and like Danny Mari. And she moved to New York, and then she started this thing that she called Brookladelphia, which I thought was really funny because it's like the Philadelphia Brooklyn
corridor
cross mix. It's exactly what you were talking about, and I just always thought that was a kind of funny turn of phrase.
There's even bands that like where a member will live here and a member in New York. Like I see that a lot too. And I'm like, how did that?
When I was living in Philly, we were based in Brooklyn, and I was driving to Brooklyn.
So we had to practice every Friday night, and Eliza would, because Eliza had to drive up to the city, and it was the weekend. So for every Friday night we practice, and she would drive up 3 hours, and then she would usually drive home after practice. This is we would practice from 7 to 11 or 8 to midnight or something, and then she'd drive home. And every week, this is it's crazy to think that you did that. And it seemed to all of us we just got used to it, and it was a normal thing. But then whenever I explained it to an outsider, they were just like, why?
Right, yeah.
As an addendum to that, often after driving back from New York City, I would, in the morning, drive around a minibus full of the elderly. So I'd be on 2 hours of sleep, in the minibus, trying to be a tour guide, basically being like, here's the scenic area of Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Y'all keep it down back there. I swear to God. Y'all frustrated and tired.
It got pretty funny. It did. It got pretty funny.
That's wild, man.
But
well, so I guess I'd have to ask the same question. Why? I mean, and no offense to you. I mean, I'm sure you're awesome, but you would think that it'd almost be easier to find a new singer in fucking New York City than it would be to have somebody coming up from Philly, right?
It might have been. I mean, it was one of those things where me and Kristen, so we started playing together in college. We met freshman year of college. We did jazz at combo together. So at this point, we've been playing together for 10 years, I think.
Whoa, dude. That's
and
quite a history.
I know it's a long time, and we had other bandmates. Our pianist at the time, Venora, also lived in New York City. She was from Harlem, so it just made sense. We were like, you know what, we're still gonna be. And I was like, I'm gonna move to New York City. 3 years later, I actually moved to New York City. But it was kind of this thing where it's like, you know what, this is just for now, like, and we'll work it out, we'll figure it all out, and just kept right on going with it, you
man.
know.
So that's crazy. So how long have you guys been together as a band?
Well, let's see. I guess the core group here, like me and Kristen and John, have been playing together for 4 years, I'm gonna say, and Will is kind of a new addition to the band, brand new, several months, 4 months, maybe 4 months now.
Craigslist ad or
No.
mutual friend? Okay.
The scene, man.
The scene.
The scene.
The scene will provide, right?
That's right.
So, so is this your first album? What?
So when we were in college, we put out a full-length album, and that was like, that was a weird time. That was really before the band, as it currently is, had developed. But that was a full-length album. So I guess it was a combination of like my solo stuff and band material. And then we put out an EP back in 2015. So this is our second like longer album, and this is a 2-part album. So we're releasing half of it now and half of it in the spring. It's just 5 songs now, 5 songs in the spring.
So why make it one album and not just 2 separate EPs?
John would like
John's
to know
in the
that.
band and wants to know it too, right?
You know, it's because of my grand vision.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So like the first the first half of the album is like the chicken being run over, right?
Okay.
And then the second side, you'll turn to the back of the album and you'll see just like roadkill lying in the road.
Wow, all right.
So I've like really thought about this a lot, and there's an emotional arc to the whole thing. That's why it's not 2 EPs, because it's really one big album. Like there's a narrative. Everything I do, I like to be.
You did decide to go with the roadkill thing after
Oh,
all. You're like,
well,
no,
I mean, yes. It's dark. It's dark, and I love it. But I tried to tone it down a little. I didn't want to take it too dark, just medium dark.
I think like the macabre and slapstick, like that intersection, is Eliza and the Organix. Like I would,
all right.
I would pin it. I would pin it right there.
It's a specific market, but I think you guys are tapping it, right?
Yeah. It sort of fits, the whole vibe. Yeah.
So, I mean, is there a big difference between the 2 sides of the album? Like, is so you have this one that's got the rubber chicken, which is it's silly and fun,
Yeah.
right?
And
So,
dark.
But is this? I was gonna say, is the second one darker? With the
I actually feel like the first half of the album, in an autobiographical sense, the first half of the album is about me moving to New York City and being like, what the fuck am I doing here? What did I do? Why am I here? And just sort of that emotional journey. And then the second half of the album is sort of me like adjusting and like getting a grip.
wow.
That's how I would describe it. So I think the second half is actually more hopeful in a lot of ways than the first half.
But in like a fuck everybody New York kind of way. I
Okay.
think. Right. So.
I feel like that's the thing. The thing that like that's probably why Philly and New York get along so well, is because it's just this fuck everybody attitude.
Well, Philly
right?
is like a fighting city. I
Oh,
love
God,
it.
it is.
You know?
Oh yeah, no, fuck
Philly
you.
Philly is like
wait. I mean,
so
fuck me,
full
no,
of
fuck
pride.
you.
I love how much pride people have in Philadelphia and all the sports teams
Right.
and just all the
We
things.
suck every fucking
Yes.
year, but fuck you if you tell us we
But
suck,
yes.
right?
Yeah. Like I think it's great.
Yeah, man.
I think it's really great.
it is also. So what is you're saying it's a 2-part album.
2-part
so
album.
They're both gonna have the same name.
Well, eventually it's going to be released as a full album. Like,
Okay.
so we're releasing the first half digitally, the second half digitally, and then it's going to become available as an actual CD is the idea.
Okay,
And that
gotcha.
was, that was partly a reaction to how music is released now, because people aren't buying CDs as much, and like, digital content is much easier for the youngins to handle, and the younger generation, and like even us, actually, honestly, it's easy for me. I'm like on my phone, I'm like, oh, music, click, 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 right? So it was a choice sort of about that, about like, we're going to do 2 big bursts. We haven't released anything in a while. We're going to do a small thing now, a small thing in the spring, and then we're going to have this like beautiful, great album.
So is there going to be any chance or any idea about a music video or anything like that to help kind of?
Probably. Yeah.
For which one? Which track?
Probably.
Which track would you? I want to know which track each of you would like to see.
Actually,
a
I'm
video
curious
for.
about that as well.
You can
I'm
pass
pretty
it off.
curious.
Maybe somebody already knows.
Let's see. If I were doing a video, well, I had an idea for doing a video for My Way, which is the first song on the album. That was the one that I had sort of conceptualized a video for.
I think that's funny that that's the first song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of
Yeah.
like get this this
Just
is my
right-
way.
Straight
all the way
ahead,
through.
right?
Right,
As
exactly.
soon as you,
Right.
as soon as you arrive, right out the
Right.
door.
So
I-
there's a theme here.
All right, I am gonna pass this around though because I want to know the answer to that
Right.
question. I kind of would like to hear.
I want to do Road Home. I think that would be really fun. Especially it's so thematic. Like literally there's a road. Yeah. And I think it's that's like I would call that like our pop song, right? It's catchy, people like it. It's upbeat, like it's not super depressing. I think some of our darker songs like like Tapestry and Trouble, like Tapestry's beautiful, but it is pretty like melancholy, you know. But that doesn't mean it wouldn't make for a good music video, but I would do Road Home.
Road Home's a good vote. We've been playing that song for probably 3 years at least, and that's always been in my mind, like the single that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good one. The My Way concept is good. I'm looking forward to it.
I think Road Home's a good one. Tapestry is my personal favorite on the album. And I've always envisioned like a New York City like noir sort of like setting.
A lot of curtains, just a lot of curtains.
Oh
Blue curtains.
So all right. So my way. What I mean,
My way.
right? I want to know, how do you envision the video?
Well, I had the idea that you see like a pair of boots kind of walking around New York City, like knocking over trash cans and destroying shit. That was sort of what I had envisioned.
All right.
Just like, wreaking some mayhem. And then maybe there's like stuff that's going on that you see, like you don't see people fighting, but you see like boots scuffling and like stuff is happening, but you're not exactly sure what's happening.
Got you.
And then at the end of the video, you come up and you see like the band playing, and you're like, oh, the boots were leading us here to watch the band play.
Right.
Whoa.
Paying a cover and everything like that, and walking in, and
yeah, that
So-
was my idea.
I also wonder, like when I'm envisioning what you're saying. I mean, I'm assuming you think you're saying just boots, no people in them, but I also think it might be a cool idea to have people in the boots. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
no, I
so
mean there
it's
would
like,
be people in the
all
boots.
right, so it's
It's like a bunch of shoes like walking around.
Yeah, just as a technical thing, it's hard to make boots move without people.
yeah, right. Well, I was
Just
thinking, wow, they're dedicated.
Just
Stop
for logistics.
animation, right?
Yeah, no,
Yeah, right, dude. Yeah, dude, I think that'd be an interesting
You
idea.
know.
You could probably strap on a GoPro to a pair of boots and just watching them wreak havoc.
Well, I mean, if you see the boots I'm wearing now, these are the boots I want to knock things over in.
all right,
These are the boots.
right on.
Historical moment. Like, I just want to knock over some trash cans. And also, like, you see, like, maybe a pair of high heels, like some little noir things, or, like,
Crocs.
Can I wear my Tevas? Okay, great.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe there's, like, a flash mob, and, like, who knows?
All right, most fashionable pair of boots you own.
I'm not, like, a super fashionable person.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Everyone apparently agrees with me. But these boots are pretty fashionable. These were given to me by a friend, so I
Right
didn't
on.
pick them out, but I love them.
My daughter got some. She likes to do like thrift store shopping.
Uh-huh.
She found like a pair of $200 boots for $8, and I was like, wait, what?
Sweet.
So she didn't know they were until like she got home and she like Googled them. She's like, Dad,
Mhm.
check this out. And I was like, wait, how?
What
How
a
is that possible?
find.
Yeah.
I do also have a pair of like knee-high black leather boots.
Right on.
That's another contender.
That might be good for the video. That would rock.
John also has some pretty sweet shoes on right now. Got those like bright blue, just very
Not boots, but
not boots,
Oh,
but
wow.
bright.
Another one could be like another idea. Just thinking about it would be
See, like
not
clearly
just
this is a
boots.
good idea
I
if
think
it's
it
making
is.
you think,
I think
right?
it really did. All of you guys, like from your boots perspective, right,
No.
of going to your day job, doing all of that like bullshit, getting into your somebody spilling coffee on you, somebody throwing like a taxi cab throwing like
yeah, all the
water on you.
bullshit.
You know what
a
I mean?
bunch of
But then
bullshit.
all of you guys, all of your boots, all of your getting to that show. I like that. That'd be cool.
Get
There's
to
an
the
idea.
gig, as they say.
Yeah, man, get to the gig, right? Then you can follow it up with boots heading on the road home, right?
Yeah.
And then-
Oh,
right? Then
tied
when you
it
get
in
there,
there.
there's a tapestry. When you get there, there's a tapestry. right?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So
Yeah.
I like you guys as a vision. So you guys were saying road home, correct? What's your idea for that? What's your vision of it? You must see it in your head.
I don't really I don't have a vision. I just love that song so much.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a great song. It's really catchy. I mean, I'd love to I mean, I like that we added that's where Marley played the trumpet on, and it's like a whole basically like a chorus of horns playing. So I think that'd be cool to have. I don't know. have no idea. Haven't actually thought about it.
I'm sure it will. You
Yeah,
any
it'll
ideas
come.
for Tapestry in your mind? You say it's your favorite.
I'm thinking old school black and white film, like
Oh, that's right, you said film noir, yeah.
Maltese Falcon, Casablanca feel.
Awesome.
Maybe pull that trick where you saturate the blues so there's like one color in the whole movie. You
That's
know.
awesome.
Yeah, maybe it's a little on the nose.
I think it's great that you. I hope that if you ask the scene, somebody will be able to make that happen. Because I sure as hell don't know how to make one color in a black and white film. So I hope that happens for you guys.
I'm sure someone does. Yeah. We got a network. Yeah.
So what would you guys like to come of this band? What would you? What's the ideal end result
Of a
of
band.
This band?
I
Yeah,
mean, not
absolutely.
to be cheesy, but isn't life a journey? Like, I don't know if there's an end result to anything,
know.
right?
Like,
Just like,
I guess
just making music, doing shows.
Forget end result.
Yeah.
Let me ask this: what about goals? Do you have any goals for the band?
I mean, we've been doing some touring stuff and shows. Like, I just like people hearing our music. You know, we did Midtown Village Fall Festival earlier today.
Yeah, so you
That
played
was
2
really
shows
fun.
today. That's another thing to talk
Yeah.
about. That's crazy.
Yeah, 2 shows in one day.
So I mean, you were just like, hey, we're gonna be there for this afternoon thing. Let's see if we can book a night thing too.
Yeah, because it's like, and we're releasing this album, and I'm like, we should just do it. Let's just do it.
Are you all driving back tonight?
We are.
Oh my God, are you serious? Well, one of us is driving back
Will
tonight, right?
Will has been chauffeuring us around.
Wow,
So,
man.
yeah.
Dude, you are the real MVP, bro. Like for real, dude. Like,
No, without a doubt.
bassists
I'd say.
never get enough credit. Let me just say that.
He's
right?
like a phenomenal bass player, also.
Yeah, man.
So on the subject of goals, I actually had stopped playing bass guitar when I met this mutual friend in a bar. I had stopped playing guitar at all because there was not a lot of opportunity for me in New York with my job to like do things. And the weird story was like literally I was at a bar sitting with my whiskey, and a guy comes in and there's a guitar on. And I'm like, oh, you play guitar? And he's like, yeah, I play bass. Like totally lying because I hadn't played bass like in a year and a half. Really, I don't know things. And he like stops me and like says, "You play bass?" Yes. So you're like doing that like whole Manhattan thing where you're like slowly making your way to the door because you're not sure what's going on.
Right.
Things. And he basically asked me, "So I have a friend. Can they text you?" And that was my origin story. So for me, I've really like, met a ton of new people. I've done all this touring, and it's been really very cool for me to see there. So that's like one of my goals already fulfilled from my perspective.
You're all. This is creepy, and yes,
And,
right?
well, I think Eliza, like with her songwriting, she does push us. Like with me, I've played piano since I was 4, but I regularly played saxophone like most of my life. So I was just playing saxophone. I hadn't played piano for like 5 years, and then our keyboardist moved, and then Eliza was like, "Well, I don't really." We auditioned one keyboardist, and it was like terrible. I wasn't there, but Eliza did not. It was not a good experience. And then she was like, "Well, you play keyboard, you have a keyboard, let's try it out." And I was like really reluctant, and now I love it. Like I like playing saxophone a lot more, and I complain about it, and I'm kind of a diva about it. But I've gotten really good at the keyboard, and I've started writing my own songs on the piano and stuff like that. So she does push us, and she's constantly writing new music, and it's always like there's always something new happening. So as far as goals, like with Eliza, sometimes there isn't a clear-cut goal, but there's always new material, which I think is a huge advantage that some people don't have. Some people have goals and they don't have the material. And I think Eliza's the other way around. I think there's lacking endless material, but like not that many goals, which can be a little frustrating, but I think having no material is way more frustrating.
Right.
So
having all these goals and zero material as opposed to just like la-di-da, we're just enjoying life and having a shit ton of material.
And Eliza's not like la-di-da, but
No,
she,
you're not?
No.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that recently we've been pushing a little harder in terms of the stuff we've been doing and shows, and that's been fun. Like I found that very fun. But for me, like at the end of the day, the most important thing is always like writing songs and getting satisfaction from like the writing process and from playing and actualizing songs and self-actualizing as human beings while actualizing material into songs.
I'm for it.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, just pushing and doing new things. Like that's the thing for me. We've gone through a bunch of different sort of phases of material. Like, I don't know, there's like sort of a jazz blues phase and then there's sort of a jammy band phase. And
Is all of this recorded?
yeah. Oh, we've got. Yeah, and recently I've been moving into tentatively into some sort of weird punk metal with the saxophone phase. I don't know. Like, we'll see how that goes.
Fucking do it, man.
Yeah, I mean that for me is the thing, like the evolution, like to be part of a band that is evolving like week to week. Like, you know that when Eliza comes in with a new song, like it's gonna be something that moves forward. Like it's very rare to have something that sounds, like something we've already done. So that's
I have to say that I
that
think
is more than enough.
I think it's so awesome that the band is so supportive and like of Eliza herself. Like there's so much belief in her.
Check the name, Eliza and The Organix.
Yeah, but she really does. She writes it all, Like, yeah, we come up with some stuff. Like, she's like, this is where you're going to shred. And I'm like, okay. And, like, John, comes up with his drum parts. Like, Eliza's not a drummer, but she has a vision, and we all work together. But, like, at the end of the day, like, she writes the lyrics, she writes the form. She writes the guitar part. She knows where she wants the pieces. And if you listen to our album, which you should, the songs are complex. Like there's rhythm changes. There's a lot of stuff going on, and like it's the fucking best. It's so fun. It's so challenging, and it continues to be, which is the best thing.
So the name of the album again?
It's called Present Future Dreams.
Present Future Dreams. Where can people find it?
Part 1. Present Future Dreams Part 1.
Part 1, that's right.
It's on our Bandcamp page, so Eliza and the Organix, .bandcamp.com. And soon it will be available through like iTunes and Spotify and all those places. Not yet, but
awesome. People want to get a hold of you, want to hear more about you, want to direct one of your future music videos. How do they do that?
We have a website, which is just Eliza and the Organix with an X.com. Also, Facebook page, Instagram, all the social media, all that stuff.
Awesome. Is there anything else any of you would like to add? Maybe something I left out, something I should have covered, maybe something you just want to throw out there, show date, something.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks a lot for having us.
Totally, dude.
Really
Sorry,
appreciate it.
that was a weird email. Like, you emailed me in August for a show in October. I was like, I'll just sit that on the back burner. And then it came up so quick, and I was like, fuck, I got busy with work. So
I'm glad this happened.
Me too, man. Really glad.
Really appreciate it.
Really enjoyed getting to meet you folks. Enjoy the rest of your time here in Philly. I hope you guys had a wonderful show this afternoon. I hope you have a wonderful show this evening.
Thanks.
I'm not going to promise you when this is going to air, but it will. And when it does, I'll let you guys know. All right?
All right.
Thank you very much.
Sweet.
Have a wonderful day.